Hi, I'm Vicki La Bouchardiere, and I'm going to share with you today some advice from the late, great Earl Nightingale for business owners. He said, one of the problems of the business person is after developing and profiting from an idea, he will tend to stay with it in unchanging form for too long. For some things that'll work, but for most things it won't. They need updating on a regular annual basis. We need to ask ourselves at regular intervals, a number of times each year, how can we make it better, more efficient? How can we bring it up to the best of present, even future standards? Now, I'm sure you'll agree this is great advice under any circumstances, but especially coming out of lockdown when things are going to be different. There's going to be different demands made of you. The world will have perhaps different requirements for your business that you'll have to change and adapt to. But what we don't want to do is get all stressed out about it and to get ourselves in a spin, because that really isn't going to help anybody. Most of the times when people come to work with me, they're successful in what they do, but they are highly stressed and overwhelmed, and it's starting to impact on their ability to work as well as they know they can. This is because when you're stressed, it affects so much of your capacity to get work done. It impacts on your problem-solving ability and also your capacity for strategic thinking. It compromises everything. And so when people come to me, the first thing I do is help them get their own heads straight before we even start talking about their businesses or work. So we'd work on a kind of a self-audit, really. We'd look at their self-care. We'd talk about their diet, their exercise, their rest and relaxation, their time management and scheduling. Are they doing things as efficiently as they can? Are they doing too much? Is there stuff they could be delegating? And we basically go through putting them back together before we start to talk about anything to do with their business. And you don't necessarily need a coach to do this. You could take yourself through it. It's probably easier with a coach because if I was working with you, I'd be able to see your blind spots and the things that you don't recognise about yourself, because we tend to fall for our own bullshit at times. But even now, there will be things that you can do to reduce your stress levels. But the first thing to do is to really recognise them and really be honest with yourself about how you could be doing better in certain areas, and be prepared to make changes as well. So before coronavirus, when I first took a client on, I would take them away to a hotel for a 2-day retreat and work with them one-on-one and really get down to the nitty-gritty of what's causing them to feel stressed and overwhelmed. But what you can do right now is get yourself a notepad, take yourself off to a quiet room or a nice corner of the garden where you hopefully won't be disturbed for too long. Just ask for a little bit of peace and quiet where you can spend some time getting your thoughts down on paper about exactly where you are now in terms of your own self-care and what things you could do going forward. It might be things like taking some junk food out of your diet, because that can affect your energy levels and give you big highs and lows. It might be that you decide not to drink every night. I know it's tempting during lockdown, but actually for your daily energy levels, if you drink every day, it's not such a good thing. I'm sorry. You might look at your exercise regime. Perhaps the gym is closed down if you were going to the gym and you're not really doing anything anymore. Well, there's plenty of stuff you still can do. Or if you weren't exercising before, then to make yourself a little plan to get out and get moving every day, because that will have a huge effect on your stress levels. And you'll also think about your workload, what's on your plate. Are you holding on to too much stuff? Are you trying to do too many things that you could perhaps be delegating? I know some people find the thought of that horrendous, because they just watch people do things worse than they do it, which is painful for them. But actually, there are some things you probably do need to let go of if you're stressed and overwhelmed. And just get everything down on paper and write a little plan about where you are and what things you could do to help yourself going forward. Because if you're making big decisions now, if you are in a headspace of stress and overwhelm, then they're not going to be the best decisions. Okay, you'll be doing your best, but you could do better if you were actually in a better place mentally yourself. So if you're happy to go away and do that by yourself, fantastic. If you think you might like a little bit of help from me doing that, then of course you can message me. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, you can send me a personal message, perhaps put Earl in the subject line somewhere so I'll know which video that you've responded to. Or if you're not watching this on LinkedIn and you're watching it somewhere else, then just get on my website, venture-coaching.com, and find my contact details there. And I'll be very happy to talk to you about how we could work together. Thank you.